Three things you should always do in secret. And these three things will help you deal with the main issues that affect men and women. The issue of pride, the issue of greed, and the issue of lust. Now, lust has brought down kingdoms. Pride has destroyed many marriages and relationships. And I can tell you, greed has put people into problems. Now, Jesus dealt with these things and said, there are three solutions, but you should do them in secret. These solutions are captured in Matthew chapter 6 and said, if you want to deal with greed, the first thing you should do is to give in secret. The solution to greed is to become a giver, become generous. Bible says that it is better to become a giver than to be a receiver. Now, Matthew chapter 6 verse 3 says, but when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will himself reward you openly. When you give in secret, and that's how you'll be dealing with this issue of greed. The second thing that you're dealing with here is the issue of pride. And Jesus said the solution is to also pray in secret. The things you do in secret are the ones that the Lord exposes with humbleness. Now, when you pray, it brings down any element of ego, any element of pride, because it reminds you who you are. It connects you to your source, and that humbles you. And the Bible says that God is against prideful people. It says he would rather exalt a humble person and humble someone that is prideful. Matthew chapter 6 verse 6, but when you pray, go into your room, and when you have shut your door, pray to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. When you pray in secret. Now, the other one is the issue of lust. Now, how do you deal with this thing? Now, Jesus told us the solution is something called fasting. And when you are fasting, also fast in secret. Don't go telling people like hypocrites, I am fasting. Do it in secret. And one of the things he does, because fasting it forces your flesh to align to the spirit. Fasting, what it does, it elevates your spirit, it strengthens your spirit, and decreases your flesh. And the desires are kind of suppressed and reduced to a point you can be able to actually overcome them. The Bible says in Matthew chapter 6 verse 17, but when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who is in the secret place, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you openly. There is a secret when it comes to lust. You can deal with it by fasting. By the way, I have many testimonies of people who are struggling with pornography, they were struggling with masturbation, but when they activated fasting, those habits were suppressed and they are no longer controlling them. And one of the easiest ways is to deal with where the hunger is coming from, the desires, the thirst. That's how you deal with lust. When you work on the desires by fasting, when you work on those desires by decreasing anything that motivates, whether it's pornography, decreasing those type of things, you will be able to actually manage this issue of lust. So Jesus said three things to do in secret. Number one, you give. Number two, you pray. And number three, you fast. And all these things, you do them in secret.